So, here I am, and this is not a book review video this time, but I am going to be talking about a certain types of books, just because I came across this issue not a year ago, but towards summer of last year, and it really ticked me off for some reason. It wasn't summer of last year, it was the beginning of this summer, but it really ticked me off to feel about this. So, Trials of Apollo. Loved it. I loved the book so much. It was great, and I just really love Rick Riordan's writing and his Greek stories. I love them so much. I can't wait until the next book in Trials of Apollo, and I can't wait until the next book in Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard. Those are really great. But right now I'm going to talk about a certain thing that happened in the books, and so this is a major spoiler for those who have not read it, so spoiler warning right now. For those of you who haven't read Percy Jackson, Heroes of Olympus, or Trials of Apollo, so if you want to be spoiled, then go ahead and watch this video. If you don't, then I suggest reading those and then coming back, and I can still talk about the whole reason why I wanted to make this video. So, if you read Heroes of Olympus, or Percy Jackson, or Trials of Apollo, you would know that there's a character in there called Nico D'Angelo. And I love Nico. He's a great character, and I love the whole dynamic of his character. And in Blood of Olympus, in the Heroes of Olympus series, there was a secret that was revealed. Well, not Blood of Olympus. It happened in the House of Hades and the Blood of Olympus, where they talked about a certain aspect of Nico. This fact was that he was gay, which a lot of people have mixed feelings about it, but I did go on and read some of the reviews for Trials of Apollo. Once I finished the book, I went into the reviews, and I came across a lot of them, and a lot of the ones that I read were really good, And then I was on Tumblr scrolling through, and these reviews came up for not just Trials of Apollo, but for Blood of Olympus and House of Hades. Let me read a few of them to you. Kids are stupid and can easily be manipulated. Since they are young, they often go off the knowledge they know, instinct. It is instinct to make, but children are easily influenced by things such as TV, movies, and books. When you input gay media into such a young audience, they can get confused. Instead of letting them be a child and decide their sexuality when they grow up, the media hammers it in, and it confuses them on what and who to be and date. Besides, Nico's sexuality came out of nowhere. I looked in the previous books, and there were no hints of being gay. Admit it, Riordan just did it to please the LGBT community. This was a great book. The plot is great, the characters are interesting, and I loved the book overall. But Nico being gay, really, I'm totally fine with it, especially if Rick's trying to keep people's minds open. But Nico being gay has absolutely nothing to do with anything else. It's just kind of there. As stated by other reviewers, the big disappointment in this book is that Nico is gay. The way this is unveiled in the book is quite an unwelcome surprise. It wasn't in place for where the series seemed to be going. It certainly is not appropriate for age 9 to 12 readers. It wasn't appreciated by myself either. Parents beware. I will not be buying the next book in the series because I don't feel I can trust the author. Sexual preferences is too mature a topic for the ages of children and teens reading this book. How sad, and Riordan is so talented. My boys are currently ages 9 and 11, and they've been Percy Jackson fans for years. Love the entire series. I was completely shocked to see a character revealed to be homosexual in this series. I was so in love with the innocence of the series. Come on, it took Percy 5 books to get a kiss from his girlfriend. It was perfect for my adventure-loving youngsters. I am so disappointed in Rick Riordan, and I know I'm not the only parent who feels this way. It's very sad to me that he felt the need to present this adult issue to preteens. Those were just some of the reviews about the whole Nico being gay aspect of the books. And I do want to make a little response about it, just because as someone who is an adult and did start reading this series when I was in middle school, I have a few things to say about this, and having friends in the LGBTQ community, I also have a lot to say about this subject. And so, I understand the parents' concern for their child when they read stuff like this. I was one of those children that my mom, she really had to show me when, media started getting popular and certain things came up in books and stuff. She was really careful about making sure I knew what I needed to know at the right time. And yes, I get the parents' point of view for it, but there's also a different kind of view that I want people who watch this video, I really want them to see this kind of point of view. And it's the point of view as someone who didn't really know about the LGBTQ community until I was probably a sophomore in high school. I do have a lot of friends who are part of the community. I have lesbian friends, gay friends, I have all kinds of friends in the LGBT community. And I think it's great that you're learning kind of about different sexual preferences in these kinds of books, even if they aren't aimed at middle school kids, just because when you're in middle school, there's a lot of stuff going on with you, personality-wise. You're trying to figure out who you are, and that goes all the way into high school when you start to gravitate towards these type of books. 9 to 12-year-olds, yes, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, I can see a bit about what it means, for kids of that age to be reading a book about these types of characters. However, once they get into middle school, they can't escape this type of exposure to the LGBT community. Just because I know my brother, who's 3 years younger than me, 4 years school-wise, him knowing about this stuff when he was just a 6th grader, when I didn't even know this, when I didn't know about it when I was a 6th grader, it's something that parents kind of have to catch up on, because there's so much stuff that is being put out there on social media and out in book series and stuff like that. But I think it's important for kids at that age to know that it's okay if they like someone of the same sex, or if they don't feel like they go into what the normal aspect, which is a boy and a girl relationship. If you're queer, if you're a lesbian, if you're gay, if you're trans, I think it's okay to know about this stuff even in middle school, just because that's when you're starting to figure out everything about who you are and what the world is in your eyes. I could say easily that I grew up really fast, by normal standards. I didn't grow up by normal standards because I was a bit faster in my development, for different reasons. But I still think that even as someone like my brother who's, been growing as he should be, I think it's important for him to know the different sexualities and preferences that you can have. Just because in high school it could be such a confusing time for someone. And so knowing that it's okay to feel like you don't feel comfortable in your skin and you don't feel comfortable with what is the norm, I think it's good that in middle school you can know that happened, that is okay for you to feel that way. I know there's a lot of people that I know who are part of the LGBT community who said that if they'd known when they were younger that it was okay for them to be queer, be gay, be trans, if they were able to know that when they were a little bit younger, then they wouldn't, they would be a little bit better. I have a cousin who's gay who he took 18 years to come out, and I feel like it's because even though we told him that we are accepting of it, he never really felt like he knew much about it, and he was still confused about how he felt and whether if his family could be there for him and that it was okay for him to be gay. It's just something that I feel people aren't getting. If your kid reads it and is confused, explain it to them. It's so easy to explain to a kid that they don't have a mom and a dad. They have 2 moms, and they have just 2 moms. It's literally that easy for a kid to understand it. You read so many stories about people who are gay, who kids come up to, and they think it's cool, and they didn't know that, you could do that. It's totally easy for them to to really accept it. I think it's good that you're teaching kids at a young age to accept people as they are. Now, do I think it was just thrown in our face? No. That's another thing that I had an issue with, that it was just thrown in our face, because if you read the Percy Jackson series back after learning about Nico, you can actually kind of see his sexuality in what he says and what he does. Having a crush on Percy Jackson really influenced how he was as a kid. It influences why he was the way he was with Percy as a kid, because of the fact that he is gay. A lot about what they said bothered me, just because the people that read the Percy Jackson series and read the Heroes of Olympus and Trials of Apollo, they're all mostly older teens and adults, because these kids started reading it at a young age when it first came out, and now they're adults and they're still reading them because they love these books. And, hearing about people like that in these stories, it doesn't feel like it's just for these little kids. It's for everyone. It's for their age group as well, And that's something I love about Rick Riordan's books, is that it's not just for the middle grade demographic. It's for high school kids. It's for adults. There's so many people that can read these books, and having that type of representation in these books, especially if you already know that you're gay or your sexual preference when you're a younger teen or in middle school, if you know how you feel about it, and having these characters in these books that you're reading, it could mean the world to someone. And I just don't get why so many people would be so against it, just because it could help a lot of people come out. It could help a lot of people in the LGBT community feel like they belong, and that, that society doesn't deem them as something ridiculous, like they're usually portrayed. They're not silly and goofy. They can be like Nico. They can be timid and shy, and they could be kind of scary. There's so many different types of gay people, because there's not really a gay, you can't really spot out a gay person just because of their personality. There's so many different aspects. They're people just like us. They're all different. They're not just like, oh, that they're gay, so they're flamboyant and they're happy-go-lucky and stuff like that. No, there's different types of people like that, and they're just people. They're different demographics of it. And so seeing someone like Nico, and you find out that he's gay, you can see that there's a different type of representation of gay people, especially when mainstream media usually portrays them as being kind of goofy and flamboyant. It's great, and I really like it. It's something that, I felt very good about having Rick Riordan put in it, because you have to wonder about the other types of people in his books. Not just, the LGBT community, but also different ethnicities, Asian, Hispanic, African American, all these different types of people you can kind of see in these books. You see all these different people in these books, and you can see the representation they have for these people. So that's all for the video today, and I hope you guys liked it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and click the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to me. I do try to make videos as much as possible. I don't have any promises on how often I will upload, but if you guys agree with me, or if you just want to tell me off and say that I don't know anything, feel free to comment below or check me out on Twitter at Sierra's Book Bag. Thank you guys. Have a nice day.
I can't change, even if I